So I'm like, oh, you're gonna die.
This is Kenton Claremont from Train to Hunt, and you're watching the Grizzly Bowman.
Is the only thing that's got me anywhere is hard work. That's all I got. I'm not the best shot. I'm not anything. So all I know is to work hard. So I can't really back off of it because that got me to the dance.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep riding it. I'll just keep – all I can do is give all I got.
Yeah. Calling you fat and the macronutrient fat.
That's
we
right.
should have called it like oil.
We should have called it awesome.
Yeah. When did you know you really liked Cameron?
We became buddies like immediately.
Like
Once
right
we
off the
became
bat?
Friends. Yeah. Well, I had him on my podcast. It's the first time I met him, and he brought me a Hoyt bow. So how could I not love him?
I did.
What did you think when that happened?
I thought I made it.
I love it.
I thought I finally made it.
It's not. I am not joking.
I do not talk with my hands. I don't know what you're talking about.
I do not.
With my hands? My hands?
What?
I just Randy Black Eagle.
That's it. Boom.
That's my.
That's how we roll. Just drop the mic and walk away.
We are live. Oh, great.
That's off.
I'm still trying to wake up. All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowman podcast. Snyder and I are back on the Skype call. I'm live from the treehouse, bro.
Oh, I can't top that. Dude, it's hard enough for me to stay ahead of you on Instagram. I can't beat the treehouse.
I just got back late last night from Total Archery Challenge TAC up in Utah at Snowbird. That was a pretty sweet trip. And Aaron, you and I haven't got together in a while, so it's time. It's way past due.
I know I'm getting hate mail about when are you going to be back on. I'm like, I don't know, Brian's the boss. Yell at him. So I try to pawn all those emails off to you.
I was hoping to be down there in Colorado by now, and then just hit some shows together, podcast live. But anyway, haven't quite got down there. We just got our house situation figured out this morning and dialed in. So we'll be we have a house August 1st up there.
Oh, dang.
It's getting real, dude.
Be like Bebe's kids. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been crazy busy here with everything going on between Kaylee, my daughter, was in town, and Kifaru's been just nutty as can be. And then we've hung some tree stands, which was interesting.
I didn't know you were an avid tree stand hunter like this.
It's crazy because I get messages like, I can't believe you can hunt in a tree stand. But I don't talk about my previous hunting history enough because I've hunted in a tree stand a lot. So my hunting method of choice is generally what makes the animal die. And so if it's a tree stand, I'll sit there. Now, years ago, I couldn't sit.
Yeah.
Dude, I could sit 12 hours glassing, 12 hours in a tree stand, whatever. So we packed those sons of guns in a long ways, like 5 miles into some pretty rugged wilderness. And so Colton is the funny one because he's never done it. And initially he's like not sold on the idea. And but then we went and checked the game cameras and he immediately was sold. He's like,
I'm in.
This is it. Yeah. So, and he's on a good runway and he's got a bedding area not far, feeding. He's got water all right there. And he's in a spot where he can, like, they rut up a lot. And then I'm not too far from Colton, but I've set mine up on a water hole, like a wallow, that's a bit more secluded for my shooting ability at this time, meaning he can shoot out at the 80, right? I'm trying to keep it 30 and in with the struggle stick. So we ended up, we tried a bunch. Dude, I tell you, it's been a learning experience for field game cameras because I haven't done that a lot. And I had a bunch of guys sent me, Tony Mudd actually sent me, and a few other guys sent me a bunch to try. And I got a couple from Santino, and I learned quickly all game cameras are not made equally.
Amen.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference, man. Some really, really suck.
Oh, yeah.
And that's bad, dude. When you hike in as far as you're going, dude, it's like Christmas when you go back to check it. And when it doesn't work,
the prime spot had no photos, nothing. Right, the one spot, because I had them set up, and then we went in and set up some more.
Yeah.
In the one spot, it worked first, and I don't know what happened, but it literally is like the prime air. It tracks all over, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like literally jogging to the camera because I want to check, and battery was down 40%, and I'm like, whoa, and not one camera, nothing recorded. Now in front of Colton's camera, 3,600 photos in 20 days.
Dang, dude.
He had bears, bobcats, moose, elk, deer, everything in front because it's a runway it's a traveling corridor, right? It's what I would consider a traveling corridor for the elk coming out of the high country. And then on one of my other cameras, we had an even bigger color-faced bear, 2 twin moose, multiple different elk, and a couple deer. But they're still up in, nothing. You don't get the elk down on the tree line as much right now. They're all pretty high. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on. But our plan of attack is we're going to hunt basically until they start bugling and just sit in the tree stands from morning till 10, 11, get out of the area, get above tree line and just chill, and then drop back in around 4 and sit the rest of the day, or sit all day if we can. I mean, Colton's, he's pretty high strung. But if he knows he's going to shoot something, he'll do whatever. He'll sit there if he has to, if he knows he's going to shoot something. But he's got a tripod bull coming in. It's got his G 4, 5, and 6 come out into this kind of a tripod looking thing. And it's not like a 350 bull. It's probably 310. But he was like, oh, I'll shoot that one because it's got some serious character to it. For me, I had a bull that's probably, keep in mind the big ones are still up high, but I've got a bull that'll go probably 290 in front of me, and several in that 270 range. But all the big ones, in the same time we're going up high, and we're taking photos of giant bulls in their summer feeding patterns. My problem is going to be keeping it in my pants if I have like 6 raghorns watering for an hour below me. I only have so much distance. If you put a cookie in front of me, eventually I will eat it. And so we'll see. Colton's like, dude, because I'm doing at 40 yards right now. I'm pretty stellar. I worked on my form a bunch after the bear hunt. And so like right now at 40, I'm pretty lethal. So hopefully everything pans out.
How is your shooting coming along?
Well, what's cool watching the video from the bear hunt, that's the easiest. I come off my face a bit.
Yeah.
And I still shoot relatively good. But when I got home, I videoed myself and I started really working on, my shot basically. And dude, I've been shooting insane. Like, I mean, I miss the target every now and then. There's just no way around it. But dude, the other day, I mean, I was laying broadheads at 40 yards and a softball. Where I couldn't shoot the same spot I was cutting feathers off. And so I've been pretty happy at 50. I'm in a paper plate consistently, but on occasionally I'm more like a stop sign, and that's plenty good for me. So
I was going to say at Total Archery Challenge, I was shooting with Matt Davis.
Yeah.
And the Mountain Ops guys. And dude's good, man, with his recurve.
Yeah, he can shoot.
It's cool to watch and then Casey took his out, his Hoyt Buffalo. He was slinging arrows with that too. And then I took my big stick one out and shot a few arrows with that. And there's something fun, dude. There's something really cool about a recurve, about a traditional bow. So quiet too.
Yeah, well, we learned that on the bear hunt. But we this year, I mean, I'm just basically setting up for trad shots. You know what I mean, in the tree stands, and the season starts super early here, so I don't have to stretch it out. My farthest shot out of that stand is probably 23 yards, and it's pretty close. But calling wise or whatever, it's same thing like with the bear. I mean, just set up differently and have to be quieter. It is amazing the feedback after the bear hunt of all the different things, like pros, cons, on the whole Tradlife deal, right? Like it is, not on the negative side, not like getting bashed or whatever, but meaning, I mean, dude, I get some like books for emails from guys telling me about their first trad kill where you can tell, dude, it meant a lot to them. Like it was a big deal, and how, it is important to me that we're always teaching something. But what I forget is we're motivating people too. And, I can't thank people enough for sending those emails in, because it's like, man, I was fat. I had no hope. I didn't want to bow hunt, and I'm skinny, and I bought a recurve, and I love you guys. It's cool, all the feedback from that.
And for those who don't know, because maybe they're not on social media or something, we went to British Columbia on a bear hunt, and Aron shot his first 4-legged animal with his recurve.
Shot at it twice.
Yes. Took 2 shots. One because you needed one to gauge distance.
It's like artillery. You don't fire the good stuff first, right?
Hey, Dad.
You gotta. I had to walk it in a bit.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, my daughter flew back home this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad day. And then I had a knife in my pocket, and which you can't. I know you can't go through security. It turns out you can't go into DIA with a knife. And Homeland Security.
That's the Denver International Airport.
Yeah, Homeland Security rolled up, and Kaylee's below me, and I'm watching her go through security, and she can see like there's 7 guys in flak vests coming up, and me being the smart aleck I am, I'm like, hey, where's ISIS? And they didn't see the humor in it that I did, but it was pretty cool because we started talking about, they knew the backpacks, and they, are you the shaved head dude on the videos? And, we were talking, one guy was a trad shooter, so it was cool. But man, the trad thing is definitely swinging in full effect, which is good. I mean, it's cool.
Oh yeah. And I think it, maybe some guys who lost some passion with their compounds are getting back into it with their recurves, and then just branching out. It's fun to try new things, to take on another adventure, and you showed it can be done.
Yeah, it took a couple tries, which will go into a different podcast. But I've learned every time I shoot, every time I go, I learn something. Yeah. Right. Well, I learned one. You just got to wait a little while longer. Like when I was in the weeds, like 25, 24 yards, the first stalk, I just was like, well, it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. And over the course of time, it just kind of walked off, and then it didn't go away. I mean, luck shined on me. And then the second time it didn't shine on me again. So I took a third approach, but where with a compound, I would have just shot it at 70, 80 yards and been done with it. So it's a different feeling entirely when you shoot something with a stick bow. Yeah. I mean, it's literally like when I was trying to bench over 500 pounds, it was just so ingrained in my mind to try to do that. And it takes such hard work. When I finally did it, it was a big deal for me. And the trad bow was much more than that, because all that buildup of, is this practice going to work? Am I going to wound stuff? Am I going to hit anything? So it's pretty cool, surreal, I guess.
So tell me, on the tree stand thing, I've sat and hunted tons of tree stands. I love tree stand hunting. Is Colton warming up to it?
I think when he saw those game camera photos, you got to think Colton is like Beavis and Butthead when there's animals around. He's like, he's just jacked through the roof all the time. And so for him with the tree stand thing, since he's never done it, he doesn't know how effective it can be. And anyone that's sat in a tree stand, it's effective. And it's kind of sacrilege for some people to hunt elk in a tree stand. But season starts here August 27th or whatever, 8th. It's hot. and it's a very effective method of taking an animal. It's extremely effective. And so I think he got up there, his tree stand's pretty high. He got up there and he can see so far, and kind of I think he was like, yeah, I think I might like this, and it's not like we're going to sit when elk are bugling around us and sit in a stand. But it is a very effective way when things are a little bit slow. Elk got to eat and they got to drink, and we're in a good spot for them to do both of those.
The toughest thing about a tree stand on public land is, like on private property, it's awesome because nobody goes in there and blows them out of the spot. And as long as you're able to get into that tree stand without leaving too much of a footprint or a mark, your scent, then the animals seem to just keep on their normal feeding patterns, watering the same. They move into these areas. And when you're up in the air like that and the thermals are carrying your scent upward, it can't smell you. It can't detect you up there. You get all day long to take your shot usually, so you're not pressured. You got open shooting lanes usually.
Especially in Colorado, the elk. I'm telling you, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota.
They're looking up, dude.
Yeah, they don't look up here. They don't know danger from trees here.
You could do jumping jacks up there and they won't see you. I mean, it's like elk do not.
Colton's tree stand, he's got back cover for days. Yeah. I couldn't find him. Now me and the one, I'm like 20 feet up in an aspen with not a branch around. But I'm relying heavily. It was the only good spot, to set up, right? So, and I'm not that worried because they're not going to be.
How thick is this tree, like diameter wise?
Where I'm at, not very. It sways a lot in one. I've set up two. The other one, same kind of a thing. It sways a bit, but for the first time in my life, actually hung a harness.
Yeah.
I've never worn one. Super dangerous, and I need to grow up at some point. I did not use one to hang it, which is bad. I thought about it, so I'm almost there. But I did. Colton did too. We hung up harnesses, so I'm going to wear one. I'm not kidding. That tree, the aspen, it's moving 6 to 8 inches left to right in the wind, maybe more. I mean, I was in there and the wind was blowing. I'm like, I'm going to get seasick in this thing.
So now that you've got it all set up, you got a spot for me to film?
Yeah, well, luckily on the one spot, the way that we kind of worked it is there's a great filming spot, but it was not great conducive to shooting as far as left and right hand and where they're coming from. The other thing too is like you can probably let me know they're coming before I can see them from where you're probably going to sit. So it should be interesting. What's going to be really interesting is when a 220-inch Shiras walks below us moose. Dude, there's a lot of moose coming through.
That's one of the other cool things is about tree stand hunting is it's a super close encounter. It's not like you're often 20 yards and less to them and they don't know you're there. And sometimes an animal will sit there for 20, 30 minutes, an hour right underneath you. You could never be 20 yards from an elk generally, or under 10 yards for an hour and not have them detect you or smell you, in any other situation.
Well, that's the thing. For me, I get more nervous with animals coming in from a tree stand because you get to watch them the whole time.
Yeah.
That's the one thing Colton's going to have running down both legs because he's going to be able to see them from a long ways out coming in. Yeah. And for me, it may be different for other people. On the ground, I hardly ever get too Twitter-pated, but in a tree stand, you get the typewriter leg going because you know they're coming. Like, right. They're on that game trail. They're coming to you. When you're calling, things can happen. There's no set path. Well, when you're on a game trail or a watering hole, they're probably coming unless you do something stupid. And then that's when the anxiety, hits. It's especially when they're feeding to you. It takes like 20 minutes for them to get there. It's like full on adrenaline rush watching them coming because they're just slowly, surely getting there.
Well, this week I've got a bunch of podcasts I recorded from Train to Hunt and also from Total Archery Challenge. Met people and did a bunch of podcasts up there. So I'm going to try to get those cranked out, but I want to get the second part of our bear film done and out too. So
that would be my fault.
Dude, I want to put the podcast out, the bear podcast, but I'm waiting on footage from the snitter.
I know, and it's actually on the screen behind you, because I had to dump them from the card onto my screen. Too bad you can't Skype those, or we wouldn't have a problem. And not to change the subject of me sucking at mailing stuff off, but
I'm just going to publish it, dude. I'm just going to publish it with audio and the camera angles I've got. It'll be fine. Most people listen to it anyway.
Speaking of listeners and Train to Hunt, we should probably clarify a couple things, because I've been getting some mail on the I'm not anti-CrossFit. I just crack jokes about it from time to time, and fitness a little bit. So just because I've gotten like 40 emails concerning CrossFit and what. Anyway, just so there's no confusion. I think CrossFit is great and working out is great. My point is I just think that it's important for people to put a backpack on and go hike around.
Yeah.
More so towards season than flipping a tire or a kettlebell swing, because you won't be swinging kettlebells or flipping tires when you're hunting. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with flipping tires or swinging kettlebells. I'm just saying when you get out in the woods, you're going to be hiking with a pack on. Yeah. Guaranteed. And there's no way around that. And so even from cardio all the way down to even lateral movement for like your shins, your muscles running up and down your shins and your ankles, people don't realize there's a lot of wear and tear if you're not you can do cardio on a stair stepper all you want, but you're not really prepping like your ankles, things like that. So my point is do whatever is clever for working out. But I've been getting a bunch of email about why don't you like CrossFit. I don't have any issue with CrossFit. I just don't want people to go into the mountains unprepared by only doing CrossFit.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that sport-specific training is like super critical it just makes life so much better. Because, you know, even if you only do it for 2 or 3 weeks before you get out there and hit the mountain, a month is ideal, right? 4 weeks of carrying a heavy pack on top of your normal activities, adding that sport-specific exercise, you can't replace it. There's nothing that's going to replace hiking up a mountain for fitness than hiking up a mountain, you know?
Well, wouldn't say opposite, but I was talking to Matt Anderson about Train to Hunt, about me not entering. And I'm like, dude, if you want to throw a heavy pack on, yeah, I'm going to put some money on me. I will crush you no matter if you look like Leonidas or not. That's all I do. I'm going to be okay. You might beat me, but I'm not going to embarrass myself. But I don't flip tires and do all that other stuff and burpees. You're going to crush me. It's just I don't train for that. I'm not doing the specific training needed to compete at what – because I'm like one trick, two. I can shoot real well and I can backpack with weight real well. And I just don't train for the other stuff. And that's all I'm getting at is, train for what you're about to do, which is hunt. But I think, CrossFit's a good idea.
I think it's just general physical preparedness is good stuff. And whether you do like high intensity interval training or you do CrossFit or you do jazzercise or whatever, like you'd look good doing jazzercise, I'm pretty sure. You'd rock it.
I got the jazzercise. The other thing too, though, is on fitness. Like, you take a guy that splits firewood every day, runs a chainsaw. He probably, let's say he's a logger, he smokes, he drinks, but he's done that every day for 20 years. You can put the best CrossFitter in the world against that guy. That CrossFitter is probably going to be sore the next day because he hasn't been splitting firewood and running a chainsaw. He's going to do fine. He just hasn't been prepping for those specific results or that specific thing. But just to kind of clarify to the guys, because CrossFit does have a super cult, which you're part of the cult. The thing is if guys just train with a backpack on, if you're going to go backpack hunting, it won't hurt you. It'll probably help a little, but I understand. I had this a debate about mental toughness and in CrossFit with a couple different guys this week. I'm only going off of what I've seen. It takes a lot of oxygen to feed a lot of muscles. If you do CrossFit, you're probably pretty high fitness level and you probably got some muscle on you. I would test out the theory with 10 miles and 45 pounds and see how you do before you head out and just base that you're going to be fine from doing CrossFit. But it's not, I don't care if you do CrossFit or push-ups or go jog backwards in pink underwear. Just saying, don't base everything off one thing.
Dude, I've done mostly CrossFit only, with a little bit of backpack work in the last few weeks. When I go to train to hunt, I'm not as competitive as the guys that, not even close to the guys that are training with a backpack for that specific event leading up to it.
Well, look at Phil on the sheep hunt. He made it, right? He had just won Train to Hunt. He made the sheep hunt. He did fine, and he'll admit if he probably should have trained with a backpack on in those type of situations in that terrain, but he hadn't, and it can be the other way. Like finding their Train to Hunt now, I get crushed. I do really well at two things: shooting and carrying heavy weight.
Well, shooting is such a big deal too, and I think that's an area where a lot of guys,
especially if you don't like doing burpees.
Yeah, a lot of guys are not getting their shooting down before they go. But there's some great shooters out there at Total Archery Challenge. I was impressed.
Oh, dude, the best of the. I was talking to your sister while you guys were out there, and I told her, I said, pretty much anybody that can shoot is there. I mean, there's a lot of really good shooters at the Total Archery Challenge.
It was like 43 yards to like 110. There weren't any targets less than 43 yards. And that Matt Davis with his recurve is hitting those targets.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he can shoot. I want to shoot against him. It's always fun to shoot against people that can shoot well. Yeah. And he's funny. I like Matt. He makes me laugh.
I passed on your message to him that you're going to have to kick his ass on another day because you couldn't make it. And
he laughed.
Oh yeah. He's like, oh, dude. Yeah.
I see. The thing is right now, and it'll be interesting, Matt, we're going to do a podcast with Matt just about trad stuff eventually, but on a regular 3D course, I'm pretty dangerous because my point on is like 39, 40 yards now with those vintage arrows are like 6'10".
Yeah.
Dude, that is epically dangerous on a trad 3D course because everything's close.
Yeah.
I think if you started to lengthen him out, he'd start to crush me because, dude, at 60 yards, my entire hand's covering a buffalo. I can't even see the target. So I have to do this to find a spot to put my point on. But like at a closer range, I've got her set up. Dude, my setup now, that's another thing I've been getting tons of questions on. So I'm shooting the buffalo. I've got foam core carbon quattro limbs. I'm shooting vintage 350s, and they're down to about, I think they're 31 inches. I've got 200 Black Eagle, yeah, the vintage Black Eagle vintage, which it's the fake wood looking ones. I've got a couple different feather setups, not chicken feathers, they're turkey feathers, with 250 grains up front. So it's 6'10", flying at about 183, and my point on is 40. Which at first, when I got those Black Eagles switching, from gold tip, the gold tips were lighter. And I'm like, man, my point on is going to go from 52 or 3 to 40. Well, dude, as soon as the light popped on the first time, I'm like, dude, I can judge yardage so well. I'm like, 40 is like the epically perfect point on because I'm instinctive to 20, 30, 35. And then I go point on. So out to 50, I can use my point to 35. Oh, dude, I'm jacked. Right. And I found the tolerances on the Black Eagles are quite a bit tighter than most any other arrow. Like you don't get an outlier. Like you don't have to cull any out of the herd. Mm-hmm. And so, when I'm I don't even check them now. They're that good. Like before I'd have to spin them all, and I check the spine. Mm-hmm. I checked enough, dude. They don't, are all good.
Well, I was also looking at arrows that other trad guys were shooting, and they just do not look as cool as the vintage. When you have a carbon arrow shaft that's not faux wood with your recurve, it just has a little bit of a less awesome look to it.
Yeah, no, you're right. Oh, that's another thing. So the finish to setup, the foam cores anyway. So I'm drawing about 56 pounds at 30 inches or just under 30, and I'm shooting those cutthroat 250s, which is what I killed the bear with. I actually missed the bear with a tree shark, which was a sign to not shoot those anymore and shoot a cutthroat. I had one thick cutting diameter broadhead in my quiver, and there's the first one I pulled out, and it's like 2.5 inches. And then I waylaid it with the cutthroat. But overall, like the setup is pretty lethal. But we haven't talked about it. We posted it up on. I'm going on a grizzly hunt in October, or we're going on a grizzly hunt in October with a stick bow. So hopefully I don't get eaten. If I do. Colton and Frank will probably split up my optics and camera gear. I'm not sure that'll be equal, but it should be interesting. That's a busy season with everything going on. Yes,
that's very cool. I'm excited for that hunt. That's also in British Columbia with Landers at Primitive.
Yep, at Primitive. Yeah, Lander's he's funny. We talk. He probably gets tired of listening to me. I call him every day, or he'll call me. But I sent a bunch of gear up to Tristan. I sent him a pack and some other stuff and my extra buffalo because and a lot of arrows because we saw his arrow situation. It wasn't good. So I sent him a bunch of arrows. I fletched up. But yeah, that's October or September 29th. We fly up there, something like that. And right before that, I'll be in Idaho. And I think you might be here hunting with Frank the Tank. And then depending on what happens. And then obviously we got the other elk hunts before that. So it's a busy season.
Should be good. Be nice to get some more film out. We've got a lot of positive feedback on that bear hunting film. It's been solid.
Yep. It was good. There's a lot of cussing Brian had to edit out or not put in when you get mic'd up and you forget it's on. Oh Lordy. There's no telling what I'm capable of saying at any time, especially driving in the truck telling stories.
Yeah, everyone that's mic'd up, they always forget. You come back and you have 24 hours of solid video of everybody hanging out. And it's just funny, some of the things, especially when you go into the restroom and you're talking to yourself and it's still recording, things like that. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah. I don't think I did that.
No.
Yeah, no. I probably talked to myself other times. But yeah, so it's been an exciting season. I can tell you right meow, I'm going to look like a menacing porcupine hiking in because I'm going to have arrows sticking all over out of my backpack. I'm definitely not going in with just 6.
Yeah.
You can shoot marmots at that time. You can shoot grouse. Obviously, whatever I get bored. That's the cool thing. You can shoot in the middle of the day with a stick bow during season and not scare everything off and not lose all your arrows.
Yeah.
Which is great. You can stay on, stay on point and stay on top of your game. So I'm excited to see how the season goes with the struggle stick.
Me too. I'm excited. I'm excited to get some coaching, honestly. I've been reluctant to shoot my bow too much, my recurve, because I'm not sure, I don't want to pick up bad habits. And I was talking to Casey and Matt Davis, and Casey was explaining how different it was, how he's got a coach with him all the time, helping him shoot and saying, no, do this. No, you're doing that. This you need to fix. And it's really helped him, improve that efficiency.
Well, and I don't think people realize the power, I didn't say power, the influence Matt Davis has on the trad world. He's young, good looking, he knows what he's doing, and he's available for info. Those are all things that are pretty important. And I mean, he's readily available for most people to just shoot a message to and say, hey, because even for me, I just started and I get message to death because I'm repeating what the clums tell me, and they do know what they're doing. But like, there's not a viable resource. There's not too many viable resources out on the market today for traditional archery where you're getting solid advice. Like, I've seen a few articles in known magazines about snap shooting where they're telling you to snap shoot, which is, I'm not an expert, but I don't think that's good advice where, you know, Matt's got pretty good form and giving good advice.
There was that video that came out not too long ago. It's a long one. It was by the Trad Tips guys called Push or The Push.
Yeah, The Push. Yeah, he seems like a cool dude.
He's we've exchanged a few messages here and there. Seems like a really cool guy, but very informative video. If you're getting into traditional bow hunting, I'd recommend you take a peek at it. But again, you know, it's like there's a huge difference between. You can take yourself, I think, a long way by recording yourself on video and then watching an instructor teach you.
Well, man, the recording yourself, once you know what you're doing, and then just watching, I lean a little as I'm shooting, which I found, believe it or not, doesn't affect accuracy. But so when I'm shooting and I'm at full draw, what'll happen is I kind of pull away. And I'm not real flexible, but when I pull away, I shoot a little left. But when I come straight back, which is what you want, I'm much more accurate. So when I got home, I watched that video, and I'm like, oh,
I saw that too.
That form is not perfect, and I can still hit pretty good with it, but you know, you don't want to keep doing that. So the moment I got home, I started at 10 yards and was filming myself, and you know, just straight back and kind of exploding out of my shot. And it's made a huge, you know, difference. I mean, the video tells it all. Like, I'm watching that, and what's that guy, Byron Ferguson? He comes off his face horribly, and he can hit whatever he wants. It's not to say you can't overcome, and as long as you do it consistent. But for me, like at 50, I got to be hot to be hitting 50 like this. And if I come off my face even a little, I'm coming out of that group like this. But I come straight back each time. I'm right where I want to be, and I can tell what I did wrong now by where my arrow hits. Normally, if I collapsed, came off my face, pushed my bow arm, so I'm learning a lot every day.
When we first got to bear camp and I was watching you shoot that first day, I was like, I thought Aron was a better shot than this. You know, I was like, I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, he's good. He's gonna kill something at 20-30, but
oh yeah.
And you just kept shooting all day. It was like I could tell you just something wasn't quite there. And then every day after that, you're drilling the target. So
what's amazing, what one day to the next, what a difference makes. It's not like the compound where you're just shooting good all the time. You have some bad days, and it just happens. What I've learned is just go home when you have a bad day. Don't keep shooting because you're ingraining bad habits and potentially bad parts of your shot execution that you don't want to repeat. So for me, once I get to full draw, I lock my kind of my rounded part of my thumb under my face.
Yeah.
And I just keep expanding. And once I've expanded where I'm comfortable, basically at this point that I've kind of memorized in my mind, and there's lots of guys that have different theories about this, I release. And when I release, sometimes I just come off my face. Now I can still hit good that way, but it's a lot more critical. But if I come straight back, it's better. And I mean, when I'm shooting at like 60 to 100, perfection is key. I mean, you'll get lucky and hit something every now and then, but yeah, you got to keep your crap together. It's not like the compound.
So I toured the Hoyt factory, the Hoyt facility, and I'll put that podcast out here in a week or so. And
pretty epic.
Dude, the place, I mean, it's on another level. I mean, it's like elite level of manufacturing, design, engineering. I've been now to a couple different bow companies and checked out their facilities, and this is serious. They're not messing around at Hoyt, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got their crap together. Poor little Evan is, I think, going to yank what little hair he has out of his head, whatever he's got left.
Yeah.
I think he might pull it out because he's a bit overwhelmed right now. So,
Who's Evan Williams?
Evan Williams, he ran or worked at an archery shop down on the Springs, and I think he's the pro staff director coordinator for Hoyt right now. He's a guy who I call if I need a grip or a string or whatever. And yeah, I think he may lose every bit of hair he has in his head. I mean, Hoyt's a pretty big powerhouse, not only in hunting, but in obviously traditional as well as target. And so Evan has to handle all of those people at one time.
Dude, what blew my mind was all of the Olympic shooting bows, recurves, and then all of the Hoyt Buffaloes. I mean, they're just cranking those out, and these are some pretty precision-made bows. Yet there's a ton of hand craftsmanship that goes on. It's like I kind of expected it to be like stamp, next spot, and this machine does all this stuff, and it's like, no, they're like hand built and designed, and it's pretty cool stuff. So tell me about this. Like when I'm at full draw, I find that I have to push and pull, use a lot of back tension and pull straight through. And on other bows, I got away with kind of just setting there relaxed, not pulling through. And now I'm shooting with much better form, and I'm getting more accurate. So what is that about?
Well, there's a lot, and I'm not going to try to explain it all. One, the draw stops, there's a little bit more. There's the draw stops on a Hoyt, and I've shot Hoyt more than anything, is hitting as it spins around. It's not hitting the limb. It hits as it spins around, it hits a string. And so there's a little bit more squish into that. It's not as hard of a wall, but it's hard enough. And so when you draw back a bow with 80% plus let off or 80% let off, where it hits a solid, like how to explain this? When it hits a solid wall, right? You're there and you have a valley and it just drops and then you're up against the wall. Where with Hoyt, like one of the best scores I've ever shot was with the old school Hoyt command cams, 60% let off, like taboo today. You don't talk about that. But shooting a 2-finger stand on a 300 round, 60% let off, a little bit of squish, just enough for me to push and pull and break out of my shot. Well, with the new technology and what everybody's got accustomed to, this crazy like brick wall that when you draw, it's kind of a bit more preferred, but it's not. This is a very big generalization. It may not be as accurate as having a little bit of squish in the back wall, not like a bunch of sponge, but meaning not as solid as a brick wall. And I'm not doing a great job explaining to this, but for me, if I hit like a solid wall, you can cheat a lot. And then when I say cheat, you can use imperfect form a little bit because your body is relaxed because of that huge let off, right? You don't have to have good back tension. You can kind of just spin around and just hammer the trigger. Where when you have a little bit where you have to keep a little bit of tension on it and keep focusing on your back tension, in the long run, it's better for shot execution for me in the long run. That's not to say you can't wing it with a Hoyt, but definitely you're going to be a bit more accurate if you focus on back tension a little more, which you've cheated the system. I've watched you shoot. You're really used to just kind of half-assing your shot execution, which a lot of people do. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think I explained that very well, but
no, like the follow through on the shot. Like I've been able to just come to full draw, and I'm not applying back tension like I am with the Hoyt. And when I apply that back tension with the Hoyt, it feels really good. It's been an adjustment, man. It took a little bit of changing to get used to the difference.
Especially shooting one type of a cam system and a draw stop system for 10 years and then going to another, it can be, you're going to have a 3 to 4 week adjustment time, to where it's an extension of your body again. And it's with trad bows and compounds. You get used to that one bow that's an extension of your arm. Someone can hand you the best bow in the world, and if you're not used to it, it's just not going to shoot as well for you until you get used to it. So.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, though, that 80 pounds feels like a breeze now. Took that out to Total Archery Challenge. Feels good, man.
No, that's good. Well, cool. Well, we should wrap this up because my phone's ringing off the hook and I have to pee.
Yep, yeah. I figured we hit the limit. We're right at that. You're actually about 5 minutes over your typical.
I drank a bunch this morning and peed before we started. Hydration is important.
Yeah, we need to wrap it up because I'm tired, man. My brain is not. I'm not firing on all cylinders today. All right. Stay gritty. We'll get back.
Sounds good.
Later.
Okay, gritty friends. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram. And take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word gritty at checkout. All right, friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowman.
Gritty Bowman.